Hi everyone, it's Fiona. I'm just coming in today to do another episode of the Junk Journal project. And today I wanted to do a Junk Journal with me page. And I wanted to incorporate some artwork from my grandchildren. I wanted to find a place that I could just cut out and put in snippets of their artwork, because often when they're here with me, they like to do little paintings and drawings and things, and you can't always keep the whole lot. There's only so many I can stick on the fridge. And so I just thought it would be nice to be able to cut out snippets of some of them and put them into the journal. So I've just got a few things here. I've got photos of my grandchildren. I've got some tags there, which are a new printable in my shop. They are actually coloured, but I printed them out black and white. So I'm just finding a page, and I also have an envelope which I'm going to use as a tip in. And I wanted to use a watercolour page because I'm wanting to be doing some watercolouring on there to make it look a little bit artsy. So I'm just deciding how I want to put my envelope in, and this is the envelope's obviously too big, so I'll be cutting it down. And it's a tea-dyed envelope. I think it's a C6 size. Not your average mailing envelope, it's a little bit bigger. So I'm going to be cutting that down. Just measuring it roughly to nearly to the edge of the page there. I hadn't really planned out my page. I just knew roughly what I wanted to do, so just bear with me as I'm kind of thinking as I go along. And I think I'm just looking for my ruler here. Most of it I will speed it up a little bit because otherwise it will get a little bit too long. But I just wanted to sort of talk you through this first bit to explain what I'm doing a little bit more slowly. So I'm just cutting it down so that it's going to fit onto that page. And I'm also going to be painting the envelope with some watercolours, but I need to cover it with gesso first. And I decided to use that extra little bit as a pocket on the opposite page, so that wasn't going to go to waste, and it'll be another extra little pocket to put some bits and pieces in there. So I just cut that one down as well and glue it together. I think first of all I'm gluing it together now. I do get my circle punch and just punch out a half circle in the top of the pocket, so it's easier to get things in and out of. just gluing down one side so I can glue that to my page as a pocket. And just gluing the bottom of that envelope. So before I can work on the envelopes and the envelope and the pocket, I need to cover them with gesso because they are not watercolour paper, and so if you have a thin paper, the water's just going to go through and rip your paper. So always, if you're using a thinner paper other than watercolour paper, always cover it with some white gesso or clear gesso first. So I'm just punching the half circle at the top here, and I didn't do it very straight. It wasn't exactly in the middle, but I'm not too worried about that. So now I need to find a piece of scrap paper to put inside the envelope before I can start painting on it. Sorry, just looking for a bit of scrap paper. There, I found some. And the watercolour technique that I'm going to do is very simple. It's just basically a wet into wet, just playing with watercolours really. It's nothing too hard, but you get a really effective result at the end. So just cutting down that piece so that I can place it inside the envelope, so it's not going to end up sticking together. And then I just got a little strip and put it into the pocket, and that was plenty to keep it open. Okay, so now I'm going to grab some gesso and just doing the front and the back of the envelope, and then my pocket I'll just be doing the front because you won't see the back. And it doesn't need to be a thick layer. My gesso is not very thick. It's kind of semi-translucent, you can slightly see through it. So yeah, it doesn't have to be thick, just as long as you cover the whole page. Okay, so now I'm going to remove the watercolour paper from my journal. That's the beauty of not sewing in your pages. You can remove them and do whatever you like to them. So I'm just wetting the watercolour paper first with some water. And this is a fairly thick watercolour paper, so I did end up needing quite a bit of water. I'm just adding my lightest colour first. Usually with watercolours you work from light to dark. Otherwise you can end up with a bit of a mess. And I used yellows, greens and blues because they just seem to be the dominating colours in the artwork that my grandsons did, or the particular ones that I'm using. And so I'm just randomly adding colour and spraying more water. And just letting the colours mix into one another. Just spraying some more water, and then I'm blotting some of it off because you don't want some of the puddles that you end up with. And it also creates a bit of texture. As you can see, the sort of white texture there from the paper towel. And then I'm just adding a little bit more colour here and there where I want it. Just randomly. And not only is this quite effective for an art journal or a journal page, it's just so fun to do. Just to let the colours run into each other. So I'm just holding my page up so it drips down a little bit. And then I'm going to plot some more out. And then I think I add some splashes, some splatters. First with some blue paint. Just getting a bit on my brush with plenty of water. And then I decided to come in with some red as well, just to add a little bit of interest. So that's my watercolour page done, and that's what it looks like when it's dry. So I can add that one back into my journal. And now I do the same process with the envelope and the pocket. It is a little bit different when you're not working on watercolour paper because the paints don't actually soak into the paper once you've put your gesso on. They don't soak in as much as they do with watercolour paper, but it's still nice. You just get a different kind of an effect. I think the colours are even a little bit more vibrant because they don't soak into the page. It's just very random. And coming in with my blue now. Of course, when you mix your blue and your yellow, you get green. Then I'm adding in a bit more blue, and then I think I come in with another green. Yep, a bit more green there, just to tie it all in together. A bit more water, letting it drip. And then my envelope is done. So just the same process as I did before. And at the end I will be splattering again with my red paint. Splattering is actually one of my most favourite things to do because it's so much fun, but it's just really effective at the end of when you have finished painting. It's nice to add black and white splatters as well, but this one I just wanted to add the red as a bit of a contrast to the other colours. And when you do your splattering, if you don't want your splatters to sort of mix into the other colours at all, it's best to let the whole thing dry before you start splattering. But I wasn't too worried about it mixing in a little bit. Just adding some more texture there. And there I'm adding my splatters. So I just need to let these dry before I can move on and paint the back of the envelope. So now I have done the other side of the envelope and it's all dry. So I'm going to glue this onto the page, and I have cut down the top of the envelope a little bit lower so that I can slide things in and out more easily. So just gluing that in, and then I'm going to continue to decorate my pages. And I'm just deciding where I wanted to put the photographs and everything. I end up that I decide to mount them onto a piece of their artwork as a little border around. So this is my youngest grandson. This is Henry, and he's 3. That's his little painting there. And this is Oliver, and he is 7. So I'm just cutting them out, giving them a border, and just deciding where I want to put them and where I want that pocket. And I was going to put them on this side because I thought that it would continue on the colours onto that page a little bit better, but I didn't like them over that side. They were a little bit crowded, so I ended up putting them onto the watercolour page on the other side. But first I'm inking around the edges. I've got some Gathered Twigs Distress ink from Tim Holtz. This is just to make them stand out a little bit more. And then I ink around the artwork as well. So just gluing them onto their little pieces of artwork, and then I'm going to glue them down onto the page. This is such a great way to incorporate your children or grandchildren's artwork into your journal, is to actually use them to make little journal cards and all kinds of things, which I will make a couple of journal cards out of their artwork in a minute. And I played with the idea of putting them in the pocket, but I didn't like that because I want you to be able to see them. So just sticking them over the top of my watercolour page. And then I wanted to add some of my little labels so that I could put their names there. I've just got some little words that I've cut out of some of them are from a card that I found in an op shop, and another one is from a paper pack that I have, 6x6 paper. I cut out some of the words. So now I'm just cutting out a couple of labels, and as I said, these are printable in my Etsy shop, so I'll put the link below to those. But they are in different colours, but you can print them out in black and white like I have done here. I just didn't want the bright colours to sort of take over I thought it might be too much with the rest of the colours on the page. But then I cut out the big labels. Then I decided they looked too big, so I've resized them down on another piece of paper. I just resized my settings down to, I think it was 5 by 7 inches, and so they printed out a lot smaller. And so I decided to use these smaller ones. I just glued them a little bit kind of over the edge of the photo, not in the centre, because to me that's just more pleasing to the eye. Now I'm just writing their names there. And my envelope's all ready to go for when I want to put bits of artwork in there in the future. So I'm cutting out these words that I got from a little 6 by 6 paper pad. And they say, what does it say? So many smiles begin with you, I think. Yep. Because I don't know about you, but my grandchildren always make me smile. And I could have probably dressed this page up a little bit more, but the artwork is kind of fairly overpowering, so I didn't want to add too much. I may do a little bit more off camera, just add a couple of little extra things. So now I'm sticking down these little bits that I cut out of an old card, greeting card. Cute little image there. And then what I did, I got their little pieces of artwork and I decided to make little journaling cards to go into the pocket. And I can always write on the back of these if I want to. I can write about my grandchildren on the back. There we go, just writing their name and the month that they did their little paintings. So they go in there so that I can write something about each of them on the back of there. And my envelope's all ready to go. Then I just use one of the larger labels to label the front of the envelope so I can see what that's all about, what it's for. And that is my junk journal with me today. I hope that you enjoyed this process, and I hope that it inspires you to do something like this in your journal. And thanks for watching.